Welcome to the Unlist. Today's video is going to be about an obscure C tier design label. Not really a designer though, technically, a fake designer. A label created pretty much just to sell perfumes, but seen as designer equivalent, I guess, if you will. It is the House of Aubussin, as the video title suggests. Now, real quick, what is a C-tier designer? Well, there is no official ranking, but in my own inner headspace, how I classify designers, there's A, B, and C. A are the real big dogs like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Dior. The brands that all of the TikTokers and drip, Riz obsessed kids think that slapping the name on your ass makes you important. So Gucci, Armani, Versace, so on and so forth. Those are all A tier. B tier would be the ones that typically don't go to the high-end boutiques and department stores. So the designers that you will only see in Macy's, Boscov's, JCPenney, things like that, Ulta, okay. And those would be designers like Lacoste, like Azzaro. Other examples of that would be Jean-Franco Fair, Moschino. And then you have the C-tier guys. And the C-tier guys is where Aubussin falls in line. They are designers that are either not really designers because they don't design any clothes, but they exist in the same playing field, and they are so low on the proverbial totem pole that they don't get placement very rarely at all in department stores. So not even Macy's, not even JCPenney. We're talking like you might see them at an Ulta or a Sephora, but more likely you're only going to find them at the high street perfume shops or the mall, strip mall, shopping center perfume stores. People in America don't really have a high street, and people in Europe don't really have a lot of strip malls or shopping centers. So, but they're kind of the same thing. You know, the Perfume Galleria, Perfume Mania, stuff like that. The kind of places that are usually a small chain or privately owned, and they carry like everything. You know, from the cheapest cheap Jovan all the way up to your Creeds. But they're going to have the deep cuts. And the deep cuts are basically where you find the C-tier stuff, which would be stuff like Bogart, like another one would be something like Giacomo. What else? I guess Puig, Antonio Puig, Giorgio Beverly Hills. Those are all C-tier things. You can also lump in celebrity brands and car brands. So Jaguar, Jay-Z, Rocawear. All those would be C-tier as well. But that's what a C-tier is in my mind. It's still a designer-ish, adjacent, but not even good enough for department stores. And then B-tiers are the ones that go to department stores like Calvin Klein, right, Tommy Hilfiger, but they don't make it into Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, Harrods, Le Bon Marché. They don't get to those stores. Those are the top-end stores. Maybe Selfridges, maybe Boots, but they don't get to the top end. That's a B. So Aubussin is a C-tier brand in my view, and you can really tell because what Aubussin fragrances that survive in the modern day, and there are some, you only find them, again, at those high street stores, those strip mall stores, those little kiosks. Those of you who have indoor shopping malls, like in the United States, you know the little, like, glass counters? They're like a circle. And you go into a mall, and they're in the middle of the mall. Some of them have cell phone cases in them. You can buy cell phone cases. Other people are doing, like, T-shirts, like hand-printed T-shirts, other curiosity items, pretzels, like Wetzel's pretzels will be in those little kiosks sometimes. And then, of course, perfumes. Some of them will have perfumes in them. And that's where you get stuff like Aubussin. That is where brands like Aubussin tend to live. Iceberg would be another one. I can do this all day, but I'm going to stop now. So, Aubussin being a C-tier brand, or designer, if you will, they're the kind of brand that people remember buying on impulse. Because, like I said, you walk past the counter, you go into the mall store because you're there for something else, but you walk past it, you see it there on a table, you smell it, or the lady goes, hey, this is good, check it out. We've got it on sale. It's got the red dot. Those of you, give me the shout out if you know the red dot sales. A lot of these little perfume stores will do what they call the red dot sale, or it could be a green dot too, but they put a little sticker on the box. So I'm going to use my Futuros box here. You'll see the box like this. It'll have the little red sticker on it. If you buy the one with the red sticker, it's 50% off. Or if you buy one, you get another one for free or whatever. It's some deal like that. It's the red dot special. And brands like Aubussin are prime targets for that so-called red dot special. You see it all the time. So, anyhow, not a lot of information, historically speaking. I can't give you a lot of background. All I can say is that Aubussin came into existence in the early 80s. And their first actual perfume, which was a women's release, came out in 85. And I have it right here. Or no, 84. I'm sorry. 84. 1984. And it is Histoire d'Amour. So, d'Amour. Histoire d'Amour. Yeah, that's it. I'm terrible at French. I'm sorry. I'm not Robes. I can't pronounce everything phonetically perfect because I never learned French as a second language. So I'm a dumb American. You take what you get with me. So, Histoire d'Amour. You might notice something about this. It says Daniel Aubussin. So, that's why I say fake designer, because when this first came out, it was trying to pass itself as Daniel Aubussin is the designer. But there is no Daniel Aubussin designer. I went looking and looking and looking. I did the deep Googles. I did the search without the AI, turned the AI off, did all the deep Googles. You know, what I normally do for my reviews, right? When I write my reviews, I went the whole 9 yards. I went the DuckDuckGo route. I went to Ask Jeeves, the Bing. I went down every rabbit hole I could get. And there's no information on any designer. There are plenty of Daniel Aubussins in the world. Lawyers, pastry makers, random soccer coaches in America, in Germany, in the UK. There are Daniel Aubussins everywhere. But none of them designed clothes or perfume. So that tells me that this is bogus. The fragrance, however, is very much not bogus. The fragrance is very good. Let me show you the bottle of this one, actually, since I've got your attention with the box anyway. The debut release from Daniel Aubussin, Histoire d'Amour. Well, how can I describe it? It is a very white floral aldehyde chypre. So, if you're someone who likes those kind of prim, proper, sort of old-fashioned white floral chypre fragrances, you can think stuff like Divine by Parfums d'Orsay is one example. Another would be something like Arpège, to an extent, by Lanvin. Further on down the line, you could say something like, I forget which Lancôme it is, but there's a Lancôme that's very much a white floral like this, from the 50s. Another would be Chanteau Rome by Guerlain from 62. And then scooting on up to the 70s, stuff like, well, I don't know, Dear Essence. Yeah, Dear Essence by Dior in 73 would be another good example. And then like even like Avon had a couple of these in the 70s. They had Emprise and Unspoken, both really good, by the way. Really inexpensive to find in vintage, really good. And it's just that kind of chewy oak moss, Lily of the Valley, Rose and Iris and Jasmine, and all the white floral goodies, and then the oak moss base and the aldehydes up top, the real nice aldehydes. So mossy and woody, and in '84 it was very old-fashioned. So something that I noticed with Aubussin in general, I dropped the box here, but Aubussin fragrances, all the ones that I have sampled, have one foot in the past. This one has both feet. The first one has both feet in the past. But a lot of the future ones would have 1 foot in the past and one foot in the present. Never really in the future, but 1 foot in the present, 1 foot in the past. Like they were splitting hairs. They were trying to get older people to like their stuff and younger people to like their stuff. But the problem is, when it comes to perfume, people don't compromise. You see it online. You got the people who only want compliments, the people who only want oak moss, the people who only want naturals, the people who only want projection and performance and nothing else, people who only want sweet, okay? So there's a whole lot of only want, right? Only want this, only want that. So that holds true for everybody, whether you're, an online freak or just a normal average person that doesn't really care about any of this stuff, right? Everybody from all walks of life, when it comes to matters of taste, perfume is one of those things. It's a matter of taste. They don't compromise. Either you like strawberry or you don't like strawberry. You're not going to be like, a little bit of strawberry is okay, but not all the strawberry. Either you like the taste of strawberry or you don't. Perfume's the same way. So if you try to compromise, a little bit old-fashioned, a little bit current day, you're going to chase away both sides of that equation. People who only want tradition are going to run and buy something else. They're going to buy a different fragrance. People who only want modernity, only want current day stuff, relevant stuff, like our friends on TikTok, like I said, the drip monsters, they only want relevance, they only want trend, they only want to grow numbers. They're not going to buy Brut. They're not going to buy English Leather. They're going to rock Sauvage, the newest version of Invictus, the newest Stronger With You flanker. That's all they're going to rock. They don't care. That is it. No compromise. And that's kind of what bit this brand in the ass, is they were trying to compromise, and you can't do that. The other thing about Aubussin is they came out of nowhere. They came out of nowhere, and like so many brands, even today, like all of these fly-by-night niche brands that come out of nowhere and have 15 fragrances all ready to go, like Mind Games, right? Like Electimus, right? Just come out of nowhere, just all these perfumes. They're fighting for a little bit of shelf space that they don't all have. So Aubussin, way back in the 80s, didn't have the benefit of TikTok, of YouTube, didn't have the benefit of virality, didn't have the benefit of Instagram, didn't have influencers that they could bribe with free bottles, right, to do fake reviews for them. Didn't have that. So they just couldn't pay for the shelf space. They couldn't get shelf space from the department stores, and that's why they stayed stuck in the high street boutiques that would carry everything. Anything, everything. The distributors say, hey, I got this new brand, Aubussin. You should carry some of it. And they're like, yeah, sure, just put it in the corner over there. Macy's won't do that. Nordstrom won't do that. Okay? They won't. You got to give them the money if you want the shelf space. Or they're like, nope, we're not selling your shit. We don't care. One place Aubussin did get a lot of shelf space was the duty-free stores in airports, which circles back to my whole thing about impulse buys. People flying to and from wherever it is they're trying to go, and they see the Aubussin stuff sitting on the shelf. They're like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's got the red dot on the box. Okay, I'll buy it. see, there you go. The red dot gets you again. So That is why the bottles tend to be flashy. You may notice a lot of Aubussin fragrances have crazy bottles. This is a pretty crazy bottle. Look how detailed it is. Pretty complicated for a debut fragrance, right? Pretty nice. And yes, this is a deep vintage. If you're that guy, right, that's going to grill me. See? Oops, drop the box again. But see, look. Alcohol and perfume. Suck it. Deep vintage. Out of my face. I don't care. So, the first men's fragrance, let me go back to this Futuros box here. First men's fragrance came out a few years after that. Might be 85. I think it's 84. Let's just say both. Okay, you can always fact check me later on that. But a few years later, Futuros would come out and have this really cool sort of neo or new with two dots over the U, like new metal, the new Art Deco, the neo Art Deco. Basically the same thing that like Lauder for Men did with the bottle, right? That whole thing with the let's do the complex Art Deco thing. And they kind of did that with the bottle and the box. And it's a really cool looking box. Like, honestly, this looks like a Judas Priest album cover. Like, this could be like Judas Priest, Futuros, right? And then have songs like Screaming for Siage, you know. You've got another thing projecting. I don't know. I'm Your Turbo Sprayer. There you go. It's got your Judas Priest. Just instead of a bird, right? Or some kind of lion or tank or fist coming down holding a gear shifter, you know, like the turbo. It's this bottle coming at that angle like that. So, Futuros. The Judas Priest fragrance. The official fragrance of Rob Halford, right? If you're watching this, Rob, get yourself a bottle of this. You'd probably like it. Probably, you know, have you screaming for vengeance that it's discontinued. So, and then you'll be hell bent for backups after that, right? There you go. Spray after spray. I could keep going with this, but all right. Sad Wings of Reformulation. Okay, I'm stopping. I swear I'm going to stop. So, this is the actual bottle. Not surprisingly, it's just like the box. Here you go. Look. So, now the thing about this stuff, this one in particular fell victim to the vintage hype, and I'm not going to name names, but there are people who were talking about how much of a moss bomb this was. There's a moss monster, like that, right? And of course, whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh, here we go again. Oh god, here we go again. It's a moss monster, like that, right? And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not, because, you know, they were using a vernal back then, same as they are now, except back then the vernal was to boost the oak moss accord past what the material could provide, because as I've said in other videos, if you dose the oak moss high enough to smell it the way you do in some of these fragrances, you'd have a rash. You'd instantly have a rash. So they knew that. They knew that back then. Before IFRA came around, they knew that back then. And to avoid giving you that rash, they would dose the oak moss to a level that was as high as they would dare go. Then they would vernal the shit out of it the rest of the way. So like MSG, you know, they would use the vernal like MSG as a flavor enhancer for the oak moss, you know. And that was originally what they also did with a lot of other aroma chemicals too, you know, that are now abused like entirely too much. Back then they were used like seasoning. They were used just to flavor the naturals. The naturals could get you so far. And then the booster took you the rest of the way. Okay? Many cases where sandalwood oil is too expensive, so they backfilled with polysantol, right? So we all know this now. It's very, very common practice. So, Futuros is a mossy fragrance. Yes, it's mossy. But I feel like it's more leathery than mossy. Okay? And the reason why I say this is I own French Line by Revlon, okay? Not Revlon, Revlon, the fur maker, okay? So they also did this fragrance over here that I have. So my French Line is back in there somewhere. I'm not going to dig it out, but they did this, the Chema, which is a very good fragrance, the Chema. I like it a lot. That was something that I got from Anuj at Enchanted Parfum. Same person who actually sent me this. I bought this from him as well. So shout out to Anuj, you know. But this is more of a Pyralone Carnation leather. So if you've smelled French Line, you automatically know what I'm saying. This is similar to French Line. You could also compare this to this little guy right here. So if you like this, Hohan Club came out in the same year as this. They both came out in 87. If you like this, then you'll like this. But is it a... No, it's not. Don't do that with your face, okay? Some of these things you see me do, don't repeat them at home, okay? Just saying. But it is not one of those. It's not going to make you speak in tongues like you're at a Pentecostal church and writhe on the ground and snakes and stuff. You're not going to do that when you smell this fragrance. It's not that serious. But it is good. Now, the other one that would come out for women a few years later in 1990, I actually gave that one to my roommate, so I can't show you the bottle. But it's called Desirade. And Desirade, like Desiree, but with Gatorade, so Desirade. The bottle is shaped like this. Look at vase. It's a very heavy orange blossom fragrance. It's actually kind of unisex. A man could wear it. If you like things like Ted Lapidus, if you like things like Nico's Sculpture, if you like things like Lagerfeld Photo, then you could actually wear Desirade as a man. You could wear it. But my roommate liked it more, so he got it. See, I do give my stuff away. I'm not hoarding everything. Okay? I mail stuff off to people. You know, I give stuff to friends, coworkers. I trade bottles back and forth. It's not all about me all the time. 1992, we would see this come out for men. Aubussin Homme. Now this one I like more, which makes me unpopular because again, all the people who like to worship at the altar of whatever weird cult like Jonestown, drink the Kool-Aid type of shit that makes you think that you need to worship like oak moss or whatever, those people are going to flock to the Futuros and buy 15 backups and 16 backups of their backups and then stack them in a pyramid like we're in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then, you know, worship at the comet, the Hale-Bopp, take them off to another world. Lord Xenu is waiting for you with your backups of perfume, whatever. Those people are going to miss the boat on this. They're going to completely miss the boat on this. And that's sucks to be them. More for me, I guess. But this particular one here is really good. It's obviously a bit more 90s because it came out in the 90s, 92, right? And a couple people called this like apple pie. My friend JJ calls this apple pie. I can see it. Like I can sense the apple pie vibes in this. But to me, it's sort of like, how do I put this? It's like you're in like a three-way, you know what a Venn diagram is, right? The circles like this that overlap. Okay, so take the Venn diagram and add a third one. So you're going to have like three circles like that. And in that middle space of that three-way Venn diagram, giggity, you're going to have Bogart Witness on one corner with the cinnamon and the oak moss, okay, on one corner. In the other corner, you're going to have the mint and the lavender, like Pasha de Cartier, and the sandalwood, mint, lavender, sandalwood, Pasha de Cartier, Bogart Witness. And then in the top one, you're going to have that spicy, sweet. This is where the apple pie vibe comes in. That sort of mince pie vibe that you get from Elvis by Elvis Presley. A lot of you don't know that fragrance. It's really obscure, but like for those of you who don't know what Elvis smells like, not the man, he's been dead a while, but the perfume, it's kind of like Elvis by Elvis Presley is kind of like if you took Balenciaga Pour Homme and pulled out the animalic musk. So pull out the oud part of it and put in more amber, make it more ambery. So it's good. It's really good. It's when people want to buy Balenciaga Pour Homme but don't want to spend like $500 fucking dollars for it, because that one was also victimized by influencer hype. Again, withholding names on that one, but I know who's responsible for that, actually. I've already named them before in previous videos, but then the Elvis becomes a good alternative to that Balenciaga, because it's discontinued, but it's less expensive. So if you know that fragrance, you can take that Elvis and the Pasha and the Witness. If you don't know Witness, you can always sub in Z14. Just has to have cinnamon and oak moss. So Z14 fits in there if you don't know Witness. But those three things together, that's where you get this. So it's a nice kind of little bit of this, a little bit of that. I'd say it's closer to Pasha than any of the other two, I guess. Or I should say, of the three, it's closest to Pasha in my mind, because of the mint, the sandalwood really comes out. There's also something in this that kind of feels a bit on the incense side. It might not be actual incense, but it kind of has that dry incense feeling that Pasha doesn't have, that Witness doesn't have, that the Elvis also doesn't have. So whatever that dryness is, whatever I'm smelling, a little bit of smokiness too in here. Probably some birch in here, I'm thinking. Or it could be clove. Clove could be smoky too, like with Giacomo de Giacomo. Whatever the case may be, it's got that smokiness. And it's in the middle of other fragrances, but does its own thing. So is it original? No. Is it good? Hell yeah, hell yeah. And in my mind, it's actually better than the Future Roast, in my mind. So, and I love the Future Roast, okay? Make no mistake. I love it. But I think I'd love that one just a bit more. Now, the last one I'm going to review is basically the same bottle again, but a smaller one. And this one is Man Aubussin. This came out in 2000. This one gets really overlooked. And it gets overlooked because it's not the super rare one. It's not the super expensive one. And of the men's fragrances that Aubussin put out, Man Aubussin ended up being the best-selling one. So obviously the best-selling one is the one that everyone wants to ignore because, oh, it's the popular one. But it really isn't that popular because none of y'all have probably heard of it, right? So you're going to be like, well, how popular could it be? I haven't heard of it. And yeah. So it just goes to show you the kind of madness we have in this community, right? So this is really good. Honestly, this is the most wearable one of the bunch I've showed you. And the reason why? Again, if you like the orange blossom, the lavender combination. So I'm going to once again say Photo, Lapidus, Nico Sculpture, right? You like that smell? Then take that smell and add in jasmine. Add in white florals. Add in a nice woody sort of like soft sandalwood, hedione, white musk, nice pillowy cloud kind of vibe, and then make it very clean and very smooth and a very subtle like Versace the Dreamer, you know what I'm talking about? with the tobacco leaf underneath. So Very Valentino is another fragrance this compares to. So we're going to make the Venn diagram again with the circles. But now we're going to have Sculpture, the Dreamer, Very Valentino. Those three in the Venn diagram. And sitting directly in the middle, once again, is Aubussin with Man Aubussin. So good that it was the single best-selling thing they put out. Besides, Desirade was also very good. Desirade sold so well, and so did this. They both had flankers. So this had a blue flanker in 2004. Histoire d'Amour did get a flanker too, called Histoire d'Amour 2. Came out in 2003. This got the Man in Blue flanker in 2004. Now, unfortunately, this brand was bought by Palm Beach Beauté. And if you know anything about Palm Beach Beauté, they're like another Dana Classics. They're like another buys up, destroys, cheapens, that whole thing. The same company who bought Canon, if you remember Canon by Scannon. Legendary Man, Caesar's Legendary Man. So, made in China bottles. Okay, all that stuff, that's Palm Beach that did that. So, Palm Beach bought Caesar's, Palm Beach bought Canon. They bought Aubussin too. A lot of these, again, these C-tier brands, as I mentioned. So, bought them up and then destroyed the formulas. Made in China. So, I'm not normally the deep vintage guy, but I'm going to tell you, if you're going to buy any of these, this one included, made in France. Make sure it's made in France. Doesn't necessarily have to be short list ingredients. Just has to be made in France. And you can tell, okay? The box says Palm Beach Beauty on it. Stay away. Avoid it. Now, Palm Beach continues to make Aubussin fragrances. They made an intense version of this in 2012. And they've made 1 billion sport flankers, all using this bottle. They've also made 1 billion Desirade fragrances. Eau de Desirade, Fleur de Desirade, da-da-da-da-da. So basically, they're just reusing the bottle because it's cheap. Already exists. So they're reusing the bottle and just cranking them out. And they all go into the duty-free stores. So once again, we're back to the airport again with all the duty-free fragrances. And today, you're not going to see Aubussin Homme or Futuros or any of that other stuff. But you'll see this one and all of its flankers. And you'll see Desirade and all of its flankers. And that's basically all you'll see. And then a bunch of other stuff. They had a whole bunch of like niche Aubussins that came out a while back. And there you have it, guys. My video on Aubussin. Hopefully you learned something. Catch you.